We have with us Szalai Barna from Amnesty International Hungary. We have Tóth Enikő from Hungary. We have Flora Bachmann from Aufstehen, Austria. And you have already heard Diana Filimon from Forum Apulum, Romania. And the topic of the discussion here is digital activism. And my first question to you would be, what is actually digital activism? Because I've been listening to your presentation and you have been mentioning lots of tools and methods, but I think there is more to it, and I'm really curious, how do you, what tools do you use in your everyday work, and what is, by your definition, each of you, digital activism?
I can start. It's to use the best as you can, the tools that you have online to send your message. But first of all, I think it's important to build your trust. The audience's trust in you through the constant preparing, like constant generating content, and to take over as much as possible the narrative, take control of the narrative. That because usually activists are just reacting to other people's narrative, and as much as possible we need to take control of the narrative and generate it.
For me, digital activism is the bare minimum one can do. So whether it's signing a petition or sharing a campaign or sharing your views on social media or even making a TikTok video about it is, you know, it's the least you can do and you must do if you want to create change for a social issue that you think is important.
Yeah, for me, digital activism is a bit different. For me, it's more like storytelling. So I work with and for individuals at risk at Amnesty. So that means that we are campaigning for people who've been unjustly imprisoned, usually far, far away, either in Europe, in the global south, wherever we can, and campaign with and for them. So my main idea of digital activism is telling this story and making people understand their situation and feel for them and show solidarity for them and pressure the government in any way and form they can. If it's a petition, it's a petition. If it's an online like, it's a like. If it's a post, it's a post. Whatever. This is the bare minimum, as you said.
For me, I didn't expect our answers to be so different. For me, it's about lowering the barriers of participation, because democracy, as you all know, can be overwhelming sometimes. For example, I myself grew up in a very small village on the countryside, and sometimes it felt very far away what politicians in a big capital kept on talking about, and I didn't always have the feeling that I have a voice and that I can take part in that conversation. So and we heard today in the morning, because I'm just looking at you, that it can be very sorry, now I lost my train of thoughts. It is a problem when we can't participate in democracy and when people don't have the feeling that they can be part and can shift democracy as well. Because it's not only about casting a vote every couple of years in a ballot box. It's about reminding the politicians in power about what they promised and what things need to change. So for us, it's about giving people back the feeling that they can be part of this and can change democracy.
Thank you. My next question would be, because you have been talking about these tools, and you have been mentioning the bare minimum of participation, but also you hear sometimes like derogatory comments on digital participation, like it's armchair activism, or somebody changing their Facebook profile, the avatar, so that they stand for a cause with a new profile picture, and then it can be coined as virtue signaling. And I'm really interested, what do you think about that? And in your job, you want to move people towards action and towards participation. And how do you think about these issues? Do you perceive them? So are there actually armchair activists? Or there is no such thing, because any kind of activism is good activism, even if that's just a comment or a like?
I don't know, for me, the digital space is a very weird space. So if I want to imagine it like something as physical, I would imagine it as a massive square with 5 billion people standing there. That's the amount of people who have access to internet around the world. And everyone, or a lot of people there trying to push their own agenda. So there's a lot of noise around that square. And yes, that's true that, sometimes these thoughts can be lost there. But when somehow you pull together that noise into pockets of ideas, which can be through a petition. Petition is the easiest way to streamline an idea and to amplify a voice. And maybe people standing close to that circle might hear that story. If they might hear it, the media might hear it. If the media might hear it and they have news stories about it, politicians might hear it. That might result in a change. Of course, it starts with armchair activism, but if you look at it as like a collective, yeah, even armchair activism can have effect. Obviously, not necessarily, but it can have an effect.
And I think that it's our responsibility as NGOs and campaign groups to give people the chance to participate online if they can't do it offline. So everyone can support a cause they are invested in. They can do it online and offline as well. And you can create change with online tools, merely online tools. But what we realized after a really nasty elections in 2022 was that it's not enough to campaign online. So that's why we started local campaign groups, and we already have more than a dozen of them, very competent and clever and enthusiastic volunteers who campaign on local issues and on national issues everywhere, all around the country. So I think that it's the best to combine digital activism and offline activism, and it's completely okay if someone can only do online activism, because it's their tool. They can be, tied to a bed, or being seriously ill or something, or having some kind of health conditions which prohibits them to go to a demonstration. And you don't want to discourage them from participating in democracy and civil society.
For us, because at the organization where I work, we don't only do our own campaigns, we also have a petition platform where people can start their own campaigns, and we do support them. And I just want to tell one short story, bear with me. It's about Caroline. She's a healthcare worker. She lives in a small province in Tyrol. And so she's working long hours, long shifts. She does hard work every day, all day long. And after one day at work, she came home. This was in 2022. And she said she cannot work like this till the age of 65 or 70. So she started a petition addressing the health minister in Austria and asking for care work to be declared hard work, which would mean that she could retire at the age of 60. And after 3 months, 85,000 people signed that petition, which is huge in Austria. 85 people standing behind her. And this helped her get a meeting with the Minister for Health in Austria. So, and I don't think that I need to tell Amnesty International how petitions work and how important it is. But you guys know that a huge amount of people standing behind one cause can open doors. And it opened the door for Caroline to talk to the Minister for Health. But that's not everything, and that's what a lot of people think, that it always starts and stops with a petition. Because Caroline was talking to the minister, and after that nothing happened. So she kept on working on it. She organized protests. We helped her conduct a survey among 14,000 healthcare workers, and it showed how their work affects their physical and also mental health. And 3 years later, this was in May this year, we had another meeting with the Minister for Health. This is a new minister now. So Caroline has talked to 2 ministers. She has 195,000 people standing behind her at this point. And the minister declared that care work would be recognized as hard work. So it's not only people standing behind you, and Caroline and I think Justina from Poland said this before, knowing that so many people stand behind you is important, but also connecting online actions with offline actions, as you said.
I think we have to use every door or window we can find to reach people, first of all. So if something works, we have to continue doing it and scale it. But at the same time, especially for the younger generation, I think it's a very dangerous path to just promote online activism, because they don't have the practice of offline. I mean, for previous generations, for older generations like mine, we understand that you need to pull a man who fallen from the street to pull up, and that's activism also. You have to help someone, that's activism also. And it's not enough just to give likes or comments or shares. But on the background of loneliness epidemic and everything that we are seeing with the isolation of younger generation, it's crucial to make the connections between online and offline. And especially also because I see a narrative increasing amongst young people saying equivalent in volunteer work with internship or working for someone else's benefit, which is a very dangerous path, because once you destroy this idea of working for the benefit of a community, then everything can be renegotiated within a democracy, because that's the fundamental middle of democracy, community, working together for the better for all of us. And once you destroy it, then it's very shaky. So yeah, mixing everything, but connecting both of them from time to time.
Thank you. I will come back to you about transforming online activism into real-life action. But before that, I'd like to turn to you and ask you whether you have signed a petition recently. Please raise your hands if you did so. Like recently in the Oh, many of you.
Surprise.
Yeah. Lots of practitioners of activism here. Okay, please keep your hands raised for a little while longer. Yeah. So many of you have signed a petition. Okay. How many of you feel it was successful? Okay, less people, but there are some. Okay. Can you share, is there anybody who is willing to share a positive example when you signed a petition and it was successful?
For example, thank you. For me, it's a very special day today because I actually did sign the petition of Justina, who was just talking here before. And for me, it was very intriguing to see her talking here today. And 3 years ago, I was organizing events and signing solidarity letters in schools and as part of her campaign in Amnesty. So Justina was a great example for signing a petition.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I can share a happy story from Hungary, one of some of the rare occasions. There was a huge petition recently, like, I think almost 300,000 people signed, which was about a young boy who's seriously ill, and he's 3 years old, and he was about to be adopted by a family, but somehow the child protection works so amazingly in Hungary that this boy spent all his life in a hospital bed, tied to his bed literally, and the family was just waiting for this adoption for a very long time. And this one moment it got escalated, and then a lot of people signed it. I think it's kind of a record breaker. And after a few weeks or months of deliberation at the perfect Hungarian government, this boy could move to his adoptive family last weekend, I think, or a week ago. So I think that's actually a very touching example of that as well.
Thank you. Anybody who wants to share less successful example? An example which left you frustrated? A cause still pending?
Around 1 year ago, there was a signature petition for the Future for Life institution. This institution collecting all the Turing laureates in artificial intelligence, and this petition was about that we will stop half a year the development on AI. And there was almost 500,000 people signed, including very big people, and we couldn't make it happen. It's very sad.
Thank you. I was asking you this. We had this exercise because I'm really curious. What do you think? What makes the difference between a successful petition, a successful online campaign, and what makes them fail? So I'm really curious because many members of our audience are not just signing petitions, but I suspect that they also start petitions on a regular basis. Many of them are active in civil society. So the more practical your answer is, the better, I think.
Sorry, I'll have a terrible answer to that.
Thank you, please.
Because I would first start with what is a good outcome, and I only joined Amnesty quite recently, so my idea of a successful petition, a successful campaign has really changed over this year. So last week we had Sasha Skochilenko with us, who I think you saw a video with. So I don't need to tell the story. Yeah, okay. So she was here, and when I finally saw her, and we had a discussion and she told me how grateful she was for the support and solidarity that she felt. So it's not even that we were pushing for media attention or whatever. What really mattered to her are those petition signatures, seeing the number of people supporting her case, not forgetting her, and feeling and really just surviving that terrible place where she was held. So for me, solidarity and pushing for solidarity is already a success, even if it's not as tangible, and it's really hard to sell these stories to our audience. But this is what I think truly matters.
I think we should focus on giving people little victories, and I think that's the key element to it, because we are all a society that can have a phone ordered in 5 minutes and delivered in 2 days, or anything else we want, food in half an hour. We want instant gratification. We are used to it more and more. So when we are getting engaged for a cause, we also want instant gratification, or if not instant, average time gratification. So we as activists, I think we have to be very careful what fights we choose, and we ask people to join, because we might use their patience. And in my opinion, that's the difference between a successful one and an unsuccessful one. How much frustration do you give the people, or do you take from the people with that, because it's always just a brick in a big wall that we have to build.
I think my brain is still working, because you said that we do want to work with instant gratification, because we all have a phone. You can start a petition right now if you wanted to. There are petition platforms all over the place, and people getting petitions on a daily basis. So we have people signing petitions at this moment, and they don't see where it ends, right? Because that's also a problem, what I see in my daily work with petition starters from our platform. They start the petition and they think that this will change a law. And so they call me up and they're like, I started a petition, I have 10 people signing it, and why is nothing happening? The media isn't reporting about it, the minister didn't call yet. And this is what, in my experience, is the flaw in a lot of petitions, that people think, also if you have like 1,000 signatures or 10,000 signatures, it doesn't mean that it has to change anything. You need to use the power of people standing behind your cause and transform it into action. If this is an email protest, or if this is a protest in the streets, or a phone protest, but you have to think that you have like 1,000 people on your phone that you can target now, because they are standing behind you. They think that your petition is great. So contact them and ask him, hey, call up the decision maker and ask them to change the law, or why nothing happened yet. Yeah.
I do have a short story about this topic. Up until a few years ago, there was a compulsory training for adopting parents, and the government wanted to change the law so it wouldn't be compulsory anymore. But all the adopting parents who went through this training said that it's essential for everyone wanting to adopt a child to have this training. So an adopting mother started a petition on this, so the training stays compulsory. We lost this campaign, so the training isn't compulsory anymore, but our campaign created such a big attention that people are still participating in the training, even though it's not compulsory anymore, it's completely optional. But we gave such a visibility to this issue and to the training, and what you can learn from there if you want to adopt a child and become a parent, or again a parent, that I would deem it successful.
Thank you. So from what I've heard from you, it seems that you need to, just the petition itself is not enough. It's a tool what you use to reach a goal, and you have to accompany a petition with other methods, and you have to use other tools as well, and channel the signatures of people, the people who have been signing up for your cause. You have to channel that force into some tangible action, which might or might not be successful, but that is the way. Is this a correct summary? Yeah, okay. How? I'm still interested in the how part of all of it. You have mentioned solidarity. How do you create solidarity around the petition? What do you exactly do? And you were also mentioning pressure. How do you build pressure with the petition? So how does that happen? What is your team actually doing? What's the job behind it?
I mean, as I said in the beginning, it first starts with storytelling. So when people are engaged through that storytelling, then you can invite them to physical events where you can further engage them, do activities with them, and often that activity is already, for example, through our Right for Rights campaign, it's often already solidarity letter writing. But I'm mostly working in communication, so I don't have such a deep understanding in how to funnel people into deeper engagement. But it all starts with storytelling, I think.
At us, it also has a community building and community organizing part with our local groups. What we do is that we provide trainings for our volunteers, and we also equip them with all the skills and tools they can use to convince other people and to build solidarity and convince them about why an issue is important as well. So I think that personal connections, which is connected to storytelling as well, it's a vital part to it. Yeah.
I have nothing to add to that. Yeah.
Then I have a question to you, Enikő, specifically, because your organization is in Hungary, and I happen to know that you have AHANG points all over the country. When did you decide to build or to expand towards the countryside, and what are exactly these AHANG points, and how does that help your work?
Mm-hmm. After the 2022 elections, when the governing party Fidesz gained 2/3 of the seats in the parliament again, we decided to engage more in offline actions and offline activism to, just to be just as important or equal part of our work as digital activism. Because there will always be people who can't participate offline, and there will always be people who want to do a lot more than armchair activism. So after a few months after the elections, we started recruiting local coordinators, people who can amplify local issues, launch petitions, organize demonstrations around these issues, and also to make some noise around AHANG's national issues on the local level. And that's how it went.
Thank you. And Flora, as far as I understood, Aufstehen is a very similar organization to the Hungarian AHANG. Do you also have this regional network, or how is your work similar or different from what Enikő just said?
AHANG is our sister organization in Hungary. But no, we don't have local chapters yet. But we love to hear about them and love to learn about it, because it is an amazing work that you guys do here in Hungary. And as some of you might know, we had elections last year in Austria, and the far-right party was on top of it. So at the moment, we are looking into how we can expand on the countryside as well. At the moment, we do have people that we can reach all over Austria, and they are happy to sign our petitions. They're happy to organize protests, but we don't have organized chapters just yet.
What Flora told me before this session is that they had not so long ago an online Zoom call with petition starters and possible petition starters about how to amplify their issues. So they also have some groundwork and connecting people as well, and they will do a lot more about it.
Yes, thank you. We do, knowing more about my work, we do have webinars where we train people on how they can start their own petition. So what do you need in order to have a successful petition? How do I know which person to address with my petition? And we are thinking about expanding that, because people want to know more, organize more, know more about press work as well. So maybe you'll hear more about this the next time.
So when people start a petition, you help them, and there is a process of mentoring. Can I call it like that?
Yes, so on our petition platform, people and organizations can start their own petitions because they are the experts on it, right? So I talked about Caroline before. She's the expert on the healthcare sector because she's working in there. She knows the problems, she knows the structure, she knows the things that need to change. And in our team, there are the experts on strategic organizing, planning, on press work. How do I talk to media? We do have people that know how to organize protests, how to reach people very fast, how to mobilize people. And that's the support that we give them. So we reach out to people that start petitions on our platform, and we see where we can help.
Same in English.
Right. Diana, you from your presentation, I think that you didn't really work with petitions, but with other methods of online campaigning. How were you planning these campaigns? You were saying that it's not important that every piece of information needs to be perfect. It's much more important that you flood the internet with your messages. How should I picture these brainstorming events? You were like sitting there around the table and throwing ideas at each other and, oh yeah, let's have an empty chair. Or how does that happen? How do you plan these campaigns?
First of all, we talked to an average young person in Romania, and more than half of our audience is outside the big, cool cities in Romania. So that's the key thing for us. Because if we would talk just to the cool young people in the cool towns and cool high schools, it will be just, for me, a waste of time, because I want to reach the ones who need it. So starting from that point of always focusing on an average person in Romania, you come up with the ideas, because it's easier, let's say, the other way around. And me and my team, we are very connected, especially my team, because they are Gen Zs and now Gen Alpha. They are very connected to what's happening online. So they understand exactly how to pick something up and what will work. And when talking to an audience and campaigning, you have to be from the same generation, in my opinion. I mean, I don't write articles on our news channels. They only write articles. And when we do the brainstorming, it comes from them. So listening to them and understanding what could work and what could not is the best way to do it. But also trying to think as less as possible as a traditional campaigning, let's say, because, for example, we had one of our campaign where it was for an illustrated guide of the Romanian communism, which was, long story short, awful. And we made it with artists who illustrated it in comics. Because we said it's boring to just like talk and say, you know, dictatorship is bad, now you have to illustrate it. So you have to always play, and yeah, there is no bad idea. Just bring all the ideas at the table and see what works. But the key point where I started, and which I want to underline, your audience needs to be represented on that table. That's essential.
Thank you. I'd like to open up the floor for questions. We have still a few minutes left. Yes, there is.
Hi, thank you very much for the very interesting debate. I have a question for Diana specifically. You said that you were able to mobilize people to flood with comments of empty chairs. So was it something which happened organically, or did you intentionally mobilize and train people to do this?
No, it was organic. It was something that happens organic. but you know, it's like a good joke. You know when it's good. If it sticks to people and people react to it, it will go away. So go further. And it's the same thing with this. If you set the vibe on let's do this, let's have a little bit of fun, people will start joking, and then it propagates, you know. And the vibe is very contagious, you know, in a campaign. So if you set the vibe in the beginning in a certain way, it's not just us. It was a huge mobilization amongst everyone who just decided in Romania, one chance, let's go full. Whatever happens, happens.
Hi, thanks. Picking up on that actually, because the dream, of course, for everyone is always that things go organic, but very often they don't. So how do you see the role of paid posts? I mean, as we know, I mean, Putin uses it and it works. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
For our platforms, we use very little paid posts because, for example, for TikTok, it affects our algorithm in a bad way if we put money. So it's like a very greedy animal. If you put once money, then it will stop and ask for more. So that's almost entirely organic. I think we have some partnerships where we put some money, but other than that, we leave it organic. The idea is, and the key here is to create the channels, create the platforms, and wait for the right moment. And because you don't have the capacity of the Russian propaganda machine to have, like, in 1 week, thousands of trolls who are everywhere. You need to think ahead, but be ready to react instantly. So we are now thinking in terms of 3 years ahead or 5 years ahead. We are creating and building our channels for news. We are making sure that we have the audience, that people are listening to us, that we catch young people as early as possible and get their attention and be neutral and truthful to them. And when the moment comes, we can be there and say, this is how we stand. We never supported publicly a candidate, but we said what our principles are, and it's pretty obvious. So but you have to be there constantly building, like little midget, like we are in our team. Like we are constantly like building. A new election comes, we are ready, getting ready. Okay, it passes. Whatever happens, we look to the next one and to the next one and to the next one.
Thank you. We have noticed that there is a shift from being armchair activists, using your words, and people happy to sign petitions, but as soon as it becomes the moment that they need to share something about themselves or any of their own thoughts or petition with other people, that's where becomes an issue. And have you noticed this shift happening as well?
I see the opposite of it nowadays, or in the last few years. I mean, if we ask our members, the subscribers, to share a petition on their Facebook site or elsewhere, the numbers are getting higher and higher in the last few years. If we want to shoot some videos with people affected by the specific issues, then I think they are just as willing as before, or maybe they are a bit more brave, if I may say. So in Hungary, I think, I mean, from my experience, it's getting better, but that's just our experience.
Our experience as well. So we see an increase in shares, specifically on WhatsApp, for example. People in Austria use that a lot.
How about what's that site called? Reddit? What is your experience with Reddit?
We don't use that in Austria. People know about it. Some people use it, but it's not as big.
In Hungary, people around, 30 and 40 supporting the opposition are on Reddit. Many of them, as the rumor says, IT professionals. But that's it. So I think it's a very niche thing in Hungary to be on Reddit. So we don't use it as an organization.
Farkas Saradi from Mahang. How do you remain self-reflective? So how do you measure the results? At the same time, how do you remain, just remain creative? So not to be very crucial on certain things. So that's probably the two angles of the same equation. How do you do that?
I think we are used to the idea that this is not like you have a victory and yay, we won, democracy has won. I think we understand that there is no such thing at this point. We are in a constant fight of defending democracy, and we win a battle, amazing. We lose a battle, too bad. Next day we have to go back. For me, and like I think most of you in the room coming from a country that has faced dictatorship like just a few decades ago, it's a vital thing to continue. For myself, I was born in the communist Romania. I know exactly how a dictatorship looks like. So for me, there is no going back to that. And we are doing our best to inspire young people to have the same approach. There is no negotiation with democracy. It's democracy or we don't go in the other place. And I think necessity forces us to be creative. I would really like not to be creative anymore and just get bored at home. But I don't think we will have this luxury anytime soon, unfortunately.
Thanks. I think it's really inspiring to hear all of you, and I'm also interested in the how. Like you said, you do your best to inspire younger generations, Z and Alpha, to join this fight. How do you do that? How do you recruit people? How do you share your personal devotion, your drive, all of you, in a digestible format? I think that could be very interesting for many of us, Amnesty or not. Thanks.
For us, I will just briefly start. For us, it's easy. I mean, I work with young people from day one. That was I said I will listen to them, talk to them, work with them, and I learned exactly how I can help them with my experience. I'm not an inspiration for young people, so me personally, I'm not an inspiration. I don't want to be an inspiration. I'm doing my work, and my work means to support my team in our projects. And through our projects, we have been there from the first day that we started. We have been there every day. For example, on our news channel, we had 4 years. We had an anniversary in September of 4 years. There hasn't been one day without us posting. Not one day. Doesn't matter. New Year's, Christmas, Easter. We posted content. We were there every day, every day, every day, and we got the young people to, even if they like us, even if they don't like us or agree with us or not, to know that we are there. And this predictability and trust is very important for young people. So through our example of working every day, I think we are doing our best to set up an example. And the funniest, and I'll wrap up with that, the funniest example is a guy wrote to us in private. He said, "You are so like LGBT pro, whatever you are, snowflakes, but you are not annoyingly partisan with your beliefs. You don't push them in my face, so I can pass over that and I will follow you, and I will read you." And for me, even if it sounds weird, it's the best motivation, because I reach a guy who doesn't share my beliefs, but who will shape his opinion of the world based on our content. And maybe at some point when he will have to make a choice between a bad guy and a not so bad guy, he will think, these weird snowflakes, what would they vote for? And maybe we could vote like us.
So Amnesty is a fantastic place full of very, very clever lawyers. But a lot of lawyers, which is also a bit of an issue, I think, when it comes to communicating with young people. People really struggle to understand complicated legal posts. So that's where we are trying to work a bit more of being more hands-on, telling personal stories, and that's how you introduce them to international law. And that's how you can probably reach even young people with very dry stuff through personal stories.
And it's also a matter of numbers. I mean, if you produce a lot of content, then some of them will reach huge audiences.
But I can emphasize that because when I started working at Aufstehen and I started writing texts, one of the comments from a senior campaigner always was, would your mother understand this on the countryside? I was like, okay, no, I need to write it again. So you really need to think about who are you addressing with what you are saying. And I also see this with organizations in Austria. They're struggling to really think about who am I telling this to? You need to have different texts for media and different texts for your members that you address on your email list. You have to have different texts on Insta, and you have different videos on TikTok as well. Those are different audiences, and they all need different communications.
Thank you. Unfortunately, our time's up. Maybe any last words? In a short sentence, a solution to all of our problems. Just a closing remark.
I don't have a solution to our problems, but we have a petition up there that you could sign. It's on Georgia and the terrible democratic backsliding there and the arbitrary arrests. It's specifically about the story of an actor called Andro Cicinadze. And if you can just read his story upstairs and sign the petition, that would mean a lot to him. So thank you.